I did all of my makeup and hair this morning really nicely, thinking, oh, this will be perfect for not just work, but when I vlog later in this video. And then I was so busy today I didn't vlog until after my shower. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda. I haven't done that intro in a long time. This week I'm going to be doing a normal reading vlog. There's gonna be nothing special, nothing themed about it. I guess the theme technically is me catching up on things that I need to read this month but haven't been able to fit into the color system that I've been doing. I hope you've been checking out those videos because they're really fun to film. That means I have a few books that I am currently reading slash hoping to get to this week slash one of the books I'm about to show you will not be part of this video. So let me talk about that really quickly. Next week's vlog, which I shouldn't be starting until the day this one comes out, I am going to be doing some ambitious reading. So I'm actually starting it this week, but you wouldn't have known that unless I told you. So during this week, I will be reading You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno, but I will not be talking about it at all in this video. That's all you're gonna hear from me about that. Moving on, I am also currently reading Sins of Empire. I started this last night. I'm listening to the audiobook, but I picked up the physical copy from my library to help me through it, but I'm actually finding that I'm not having a hard time with the audio at all. That can be kind of a problem in like epic fantasies with multiple POVs, that you just kind of start to lose who people are, but I'm not having a hard time with it, and I'm keeping track of all the characters and everything that's going on. So I do recommend the audiobook for that, although the narrator does this voice for some of the side characters that I really hate. So there's these people called like Dragonborn or something like that, and when he does their voices, it's like this graggly, like it sounds like a demon, and I don't picture it from the description that's been read to me that that's how they're actually supposed to sound. Really enjoying this book. I'm gonna stop trying to find the Dragonborns. I'm really enjoying this book, yet I totally understand why in my TBR for the month, when I tried to tell you guys what this is about, how it's kind of hard to summarize what this book is about, because I'm here in it. What does that look like? What is that, like 25-30% ish? And I fully understand what's going on, but I'm gonna have a hard time summarizing this to you guys right now. So we're following 3 people in this land, and it's really, see, I'm already about to go off topic. It's really interesting because these 3 people do not interact with each other, but they interact with these side characters that are interacting with each of the 3 people. And so you're kind of getting the story of these other people through different perspectives, and that's really cool. Anyway, so the book starts out with this obelisk being found on this work site, and the person who is brought in to look at it basically decides that it going to tell them more about the gods, or it like proved, yeah, I've seen a god. That was interesting, but then it completely switched sides, and then we started learning about this woman who was a mercenary. She like led these mercenaries and like took jobs and basically did what she needed to do. She used to be like in the army, I think. Yeah, that summary gives me nothing. Anyways, she's really cool because she's called a powder mage, I think. Or was it power or powder? The magic system in here is really interesting because nothing is explained to you and nothing is told to you. It's just kind of like people use magic and you're like, cool. It sounds like everyone else knows what's going on except for me. And I think that Brian McKellen wrote another series in this world, and I'm wondering if I had read that one first, I would have understood the magic better, but I'm not feeling lost with any of the magic. Like, I don't know any of the rules or how it works or like how many different kinds of magic there are, or even what's going on with these gods that are like in this world, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on it. I just feel like it's part of the world and I'm going to be learning about it. It's part of the culture that like, it's nice too because it's not info dumpy. Okay, let me get back to the characters. We're following 3 characters. We're following this woman who, powder mage, I told you that. She is this mercenary. She's called into the city to basically pretend to be doing one job with her mercenaries, but actually to be doing another job. And then we're following this guy named Ben Strider, something like that. And he used to be like a military man, a murderer. He's this giant of a person who like can easily crush people, and was sent to a prison camp for, I think, disobeying rules or something like that. And he was supposed to get out and then wasn't released. And then this lawyer got him out, but only if Ben would do this job for him, which was to sign up for Lady, what was her name? Vlora's mercenary group, and to keep an eye on her and to make sure that she's not killed. And then we're following this other guy whose name, I always forget his name. It's like Malachi or something. Michael, who is a spy, and he is like pretty high up in the ranks, and he is called in by like the head poncho guy and is like, I need you to figure out, there's all these pamphlets going around that are speaking against our queen because the land is ruled by this like badass queen whom I have not met yet. And I need you to figure out who's printing the pamphlets. And so that I think is going to put him in the way of some of the other people. And it's really, really good. It's really interesting. Lots of political intrigue, very adult, not like in content matter, but it reads as very adult. It does not read as YA at all. Yet there's not really that much graphic stuff. There's been no sex yet. I really like it because the characters are older. I've just been really interested in that recently. I also like the universal idea that like women are powerful in this land. Like it's been mentioned multiple times that not only do we have the main powerful queen who's ruling, but we also have like a few of the other countries that we interact with have queens or empresses ruling them. And then like high up in the military there's women, but it's not like, oh, women are in charge all the time. It's just like women can do anything that men can do, kind of a sense. Thought I'd be farther along in it, but right now with work I just can't read as much as I would like to. Oh my god, there is another trilogy. Okay, so I'm gonna check out that, oh god, I'm gonna check out that other trilogy maybe before I move on to the next. What? He's a student of Brandon Sanderson? I knew Brandon Sanderson blurbed the front, but I didn't know he was a student. Oh, he makes jam. I'm gonna go check out, I'm gonna go check out the other series, I think, before I go on to book 2, just to see if it helps me understand the magic a little bit more. So that's what one book is that I'm reading this week. And then I'm also reading an arc on my Kindle, so I don't have anything to show you for it. But recently I showed you guys that I bought the book The Jealousy of Jalis from Jesse Nolan Bailey, which he and I are friends on social media, and I read this when it was an arc, and then I just recently got my copy, my physical copy. So he had another book that was coming out that was an arc. So I'm reading that book, and it's called Amethyst, and I literally know nothing about it. All I know is who it's written by and that it's adult fantasy, and I really liked his writing in that book, so I'm hoping that I will continue to like that. So now, I know you guys can't see it, but to my right is a big, heavy box, because I ordered something a long time ago and it finally showed up. So I am also friends with the author Michael J Sullivan on social media and everything, and me and him message back and forth. It's cool, whatever. And he recently finished up his series. It's kind of like how Mistborn has like a first and a second trilogy, but they go together. He recently finished up his second one, and that, although there's other, this is a bad example, he finished up a series recently and did a Kickstarter to help support some of it, because he does a lot of indie publishing. He publishes a lot of his books himself. He does some of them not through himself, so he can have more control over some of the cool goodies that come with the books. So I think it was in honor of finishing up the series, he ran a Kickstarter where you could get the slipcase. But I, at the time, didn't own any of his books, because I read the ones that I read. I do own some of his books, but none of the ones I own are the ones I've read. So I didn't own any in this series, so you could get the slipcase and get the books, and I was like, heck yeah. And I think I got them signed. We're gonna open this bad boy up and look at it. First things first, there's this little cube of styrofoam, which is fun. I think him and his wife actually packaged them up themselves. Ooh, okay, so first thing I can see, and I'll hold this up for you, is all of so the 6 books are actually, some of them are published by Del Rey and some of them are published by Grim Oak, and it kind of changes up, but they all look really good together. Anyways, first thing I see, I'm all over the place tonight, is all of the books and the slipcase around them, and there's like a plastic sheet on them. So I'm gonna try to open this without knocking the camera. Before I take the plastic off, the whole entire slipcase is black, which I loved, except for the one side which says Legend of the First Empire, Michael J Sullivan, which this is the Legend of the First Empire. I can't believe I blinked on that one. So there's actually a little hole in mine right here, so I'm gonna use that to help me open it. A Kickstarter, unfortunately this deal isn't available anymore. I guess he might do something like this again in the future. Oh, this is so loud. I'll see if I can find his shop and link it down below, because he might like sell some still if there's extra. Oh my god, this is such good quality. So I have read, let me show you, and I did some videos on some of these. I have read Age of Myth, Age of Swords, Age of War, which I loved Age of Myth. I think I rated Age of Myth 5 stars And the next two I rated 4.5 or 4.75, if not 5 stars. Age of War messed me up at the end though. Like, I didn't cry, but I was really close to, and I was planning on reading all of these straight through because Age of Empire came out the month that I was starting them. Age of War, like, emotionally traumatized me at the end because I wasn't ready for Michael J Sullivan to have the balls to do what he did, and he did it. So I was happy. I'm going to take out, let's take out Age of Myth because I know that I love that one. And let's look at it. This is Age of Myth, which if you've read the book, this tree is like super important to the series, and all these people are super important too. So that's kind of how it looks. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, I did get some other stuff. So opened it up, there was nothing. And then it's signed, which is really cool. And then here is, I got a bookmark for every single book, which matches. Oh, that's pretty too. There's some really cool illustrations kind of. So I'm really excited about these bookmarks. I don't want to lose them, but I also don't use bookmarks, decorative bookmarks, because I'm afraid that I'll trash them if they stay in my books. So I might try to find some way to hang all of them. Maybe as I read the books, I can hang them up somewhere. Oh, it's green. Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that. I'm gonna have to find some place for these on my shelf, but like I said, I'm gonna go through all of them on my own off camera because this clip is already so long and I'm so out of it. Let me tell you a little bit about actually this series. So this series is lots of POVs, this really cool world where there are these beings who are gods, and then there are humans. They're not, I think they're called ruins. And at the very beginning of the first book, this man ends up killing a god, and it brings the whole entire world relationships between the two types into chaos, into war, because basically all of the humans, the ruins, decide that if they could kill one god, then the gods aren't really gods and they shouldn't be treated like gods. And all of the gods are like, nope, we're still gods. There's lots of conflict. They meet lots of other races of beings, which is really cool. I like how he incorporated the invention of things into his story. So things that we know, like the wheel gets invented in these books, and it was really cool to read about. I also like how diverse his characters are and how powerful his women are. He has some disability and LGBTQ plus and racial representation, which is awesome. I didn't have any complaints about it. There's this really cool like witch girl who can like speak with nature and stuff, and she has a pet wolf. It's really good. I really liked the first 3, and I can't wait to continue on with the next 3. I'm done with work for the day. I'm exhausted. I have a pretty pounding headache. No clue what it's from. I've tried eating, I've tried drinking, I've tried taking my eyes away from screens. Nothing seems to be helping, but I've made good progress on this book, and that's what I'm actually here to talk to you about. So here's where I was last night. Time for me to update this bad boy. And this is where I'm at right now. So I think last night I was like at 32%, and right now I'm definitely past 60%, but probably not much farther than that. I'm really loving it. Some major shit is going down, and there's a lot of important stuff happening in the plot right now. But because I'm having a headache, I'm just like not wanting to listen to the audiobook. I'd really like to get another hour done tonight, because that leaves me with I think 3 hours tomorrow. But I think I'm just gonna kind of take a break right now, maybe put on some shorts and not be wearing a long sleeve, and go for a walk outside, because it looks like it just finished up raining here. None of this is important. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I think at this point, if I were to co-pilot, characters would get a 10. They'd get a 9 or a 10. I have a hard time because in my mind, a 9 is like everything is perfect, I wouldn't change a thing, but a 10 is like you went above and beyond. And the characters in this book are all, hi, I'm gonna get more comfortable. Oh, now you can't see me. Okay, let's move. There we go. The characters in this book are all perfect, and I love them, and there's a wide range and a lot of diversity and a lot of variety of characters, and so I think that's absolutely amazing. But I'm not sure if they're quite at the level of wow, no, I wouldn't change a thing, or if they're at the level of like wow, that was amazing. You know what, I still have like 200 pages left in this book, so they might surprise me a little bit and step it up. I don't know if I'm going to rate this book a 4.5 or a 5-star at this point either, but I think based off of what's recently been happening in the book, there's huge, extreme, great potential. Okay, I keep knocking things. Great potential for it to be a 5-star. I also don't know what I'm gonna pick up after this. I think I would appreciate the book a little bit more if I understood the previous trilogy in the series. And I've basically made the decision that I'm not gonna go on to the second book, the sequel, in this one before I go back and at least read the first book, which is Power of Blood, I think. Promise of Blood. Before I read Promise of Blood. I don't know if I'll continue on in that series, although that series has great reviews too, so I might. But I just have a slight less interest in that series just based off of the summary, which all of the summaries of his books sound like, what did I just read? Oh, hey, some of my favorites are on the back. All men, but okay, that's fine. It's fantasy. What else do we expect at this point? It's not super dark. It's not, well, I like dark fantasies, but I'm trying to tell you guys what it's about. This is a horrible shot. We're gonna adjust again. Hello. It's not super dark. I think that it is accessible to a wide range of people. I think it would be really accessible to people who maybe aren't super into fantasy but want to check out one of these like big epic fantasy books and see what it's all about. I think that he, like I said, has diverse characters that are really accessible by people. I think that his characters all have white and blackness to them, so like they're not all goody goods, they're not all bads. Like each of them is so well-rounded in themselves that there are like light and dark parts to their personalities, and you really get to see that. I also like how he handles a lot of relationships really well in this book. There's a main romantic relationship that feels so natural and so comfortable. And God, YA authors need to come and read this book, because like this is how people who are in a healthy, happy relationship act with each other. Like, you know what the other person's thinking, but you're there to help back them up when they need it, and you're there to let them go forward when you know they can handle themselves, but you're also there for support and love, and you're allowed to do your own things and have your own life and live that life, but like also, you know, show up and have a great time when the day's done with your partner. But he balances this awesome, healthy romantic relationship that is between two of the characters against this like almost father-daughter relationship that we see throughout most of the book. And it's so beautiful how the two relationships are almost like a mirror of each other, in the sense of like they're both healthy and happy, and they show you this range of what a relationship can be. Like, all relationships aren't romantic, and I like that he has that example. But also, you know, one of them is canon relationship, these people are in a relationship, whereas the like father-daughter relationship is metaphorical. Hope that's not too confusing. Like I said, there's been some really big twists and turns. I'm finally starting to understand the obelisk thing that was happening at the beginning, although there's still a lot of secrets around it. I feel like if I were to at this point say what the main plot is of this book, it would almost be like the main plot is like a subplot, and all of the other plots are actually what we're focusing on, and all of the other plots just happen to relate to the main plot. So the main plot is these people, these like government officials for years now have been looking for this obelisk, which they think will connect them to the gods. And I'm assuming when they connect to the gods will restore power or something. I don't know what connecting to the gods will actually do. So they've been looking for this, and at the very beginning they find it. The main plot of the book is the people are trying to revolt against the government. The government is trying to sustain power, and other governments / other rebel factions are trying to get the government out of power. But that is like such a small part of the book. It's literally been mentioned. If I were to say the amount of page time it's probably had 2 to 3 pages, not even spreads. The main focus is on these characters who are discovering coups and figuring out government conspiracies and going on the hunt for different whatnots and who's-its and stuff, and it's really, really good, and I'm enjoying it. I also think last night I was telling you about one of the characters and then I zoned out and didn't actually say anything about him other than he's a spy. Fair, that's really all you need to know about Mikkel, but like there's so much more with his character and his personality that's really interesting, and I love to like dive deep into all of the characters, but I just don't think this is the place to do it, and I don't think I have the time to really spend on looking into each of, especially the main three, as in depth as I would like to. Excuse me, my contacts are killing me, so I took them out for a little bit. This is too much. Okay, I'm just gonna be blind during this video. So I finished 2 books since talking to you guys last night. I just knocked something over. I finished Sins of Empire, which I enjoyed. The last 150 pages I didn't love, and I'm really disappointed because I was really, really enjoying the book. I was probably going to rate it a 4.5 or a 5-star, and the last 100 pages made me not want to do that. So I ended up rating it 4 stars, which is still really good because everything about this book is absolutely great. It's just nothing was like amazing, worth being a 5-star. The characters were fantastic and probably the best part. And because of that, it makes me hesitant. I know earlier I said I was gonna go on and read the other series, which is before this one. And I think if I had read that series, I might have enjoyed this more. But I don't know if I'm gonna actually go back and read that one because I read this summary, not the summary, but like the blurb of the first book, and I'm just not interested in those characters. I met one of them in this book, and I don't care about his story, and I don't care about what led him to where he's at in this book. All I care about is the characters who are in this book and how they're going to continue moving forward. So I am at one point going to finish book 2 and 3 in this series, but I don't know now if I'm actually going to go back and read Promise of Blood, I think is the name of the book. So yeah, 4 stars. This will be on my recommendations shelf, but not my favorites shelf. So taking my bookmark out. The next book I finished, and this will be much quicker talk, was Amethyst, which I mentioned earlier in this video. I didn't like it. My issue was it was a short story, and I don't like short stories. And if I had gone in knowing that it was a short story, I would have not requested it. So I'm actually not going to rate this book because it is clearly not for me, and I want people to go out and read this author because he is independently published, and I loved The Jealousy of Jealous. I rated it 4.5, I believe. So I'm not going to rate this one. I'm not even going to mark it as read on my shelves. Actually, I think I might, but I might not put a date. I don't know. I haven't totally figured all of that out. This hair is really long for some reason. Welcome to having curly hair. Literally, if it wasn't a short story, I would have loved it. If you guys know or have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I can absolutely love an author and then hate their short story works. Don't read this if you're not a fan of short stories, but if you like dark fantasy and you don't mind short stories, it was absolutely great. It was fine. Everything about it was enjoyable. I now have to pick out a new physical book and a new audiobook. And since today's only Wednesday, I'm assuming I'm gonna hopefully get through those 2 before the end of the week. Shit, I have a lot to tell you guys because I haven't updated you in a few days, and I look great because I just woke up. It's Saturday. I legit don't remember the last time I updated you, but it's been a few days, and I've done a lot of book stuff. This might be kind of a long clip, and I apologize for that because we're probably gonna move a few times because I can't sit still. I started the book called The Survivors by Jane Harper. I got the ARC, but I got it after the book came out. I got the audiobook. It was supposed to be this mystery crime story about this man who returns to his home town, and it's like a really small town, and he killed someone there a long time ago, or there's some kind of mystery about that. And when he returns home, like his past is dredged up because this woman is killed on this beach, and there's kind of just like this investigation going down about it. It wasn't suspenseful. It was marked as mystery, thriller, crime, so we're shifting a little bit. So I was ready for it to be suspenseful. It wasn't. I didn't find myself curious. I felt like I kind of understood everything that happened in the crime and that there weren't really any twists and turns. I think that the narrator did a horrible job. He was so monotone and flat that I just did not care about anyone or anything in the story, and I was just like ready for it to end. I made it 25% through, and then I decided to DNF, and it wasn't worth my time. I then picked up Theft of Swords by Michael J Sullivan, which he's my dude. Me and him hang out. We don't hang out. We're friends. I was gonna finish Legends of the First Empire before I moved on to the Reina trilogy. I think is a trilogy, but I decided that I didn't want to continue on with Legends of the First Empire just right now. I was just kind of like in a mood, but I wanted to listen to an audiobook, so I scrolled onto Audible and I saw what the oldest one that I hadn't listened to yet was, and it was this one, so I picked it up. So this is technically 2 books. There are, depending on how you read it, there are either 6 books or 3 books in the series. So I'm counting it as 2 individual books, even though I'm only listening to one whole book, because I got 80% through this one and it feels like it's a complete wrapped up story. If it felt like it was going to connect really well to the second one and they were going to be like an overarching story, I would have kept them as one. But it really feels like this is going to be its own complete thing and that's going to be its own complete thing, and I want to rate them separately, and that's why I'm counting them as 2 different things, is because I think I'm going to rate them differently. This one is about 2 mercenaries who are thieves. They're mercenaries, they're thieves. They'll basically do whatever you pay them to do, and they're really against nobility and everything. So it starts off and they're on this one mission, and it's really cool because it's almost like a Mission Impossible-esque kind of a thing, like dun 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 dun. Yeah, and so it opens up with that, and it like pulls you in right away, and it's really interesting, and you're there, and it has a very good feel of like classic fantasy. It's very enjoyable. I'm loving it. And then they get asked that night when they're done with it to steal this sword, and it seems like it's gonna be a really easy gig, and the guy's gonna pay them like tons of money to do this really simple task. And one of them, of course, is like, this seems really suspicious, and one of them's like, we're doing something good for this guy, because when he find out his backstory, it's like he really needs the help here, and that's why he's paying us so much, and like he's a decent human being who just messed up and is trying to right the wrong. They go to steal the sword, and I don't know how much I should say, but they get accused of a murder when they go to pick up this sword. They're like framed for murder, and the murder is someone extremely important, and so they get captured, and then they have to go on the run with the crowned prince to try to find this prisoner who can supposedly help clear their name. It's so good, and I'm enjoying myself so much. I think it's gonna be a 5-star, honestly, if not like a 4.75, depending on how the ending does. Normally, I'm like really, my senses are like spidey senses like tingling when there's like no women in the main cast, and there really aren't that many women in the main cast, but we do get the POV of the princess, not that often, but every once in a while, and she is definitely like this strong, powerful woman that I am rooting for to take over the throne. And we get to meet a few other women, so I don't want to defend it. There definitely is not that many women, but like I said earlier, Michael J Sullivan and I are friends, and he actually told me, I'm not just like bullshitting you when I say we're friends. He actually told me, like, when I was reading the first Empire trilogy, he was like, hey, I know you really like the strong, powerful women in this series. I'm letting you know now, before you go into that one, that in the beginning there's not that many powerful women, but as you continue on in the series, there are more and more, and it grows. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm saying that I at least know that it's going to get more, and that the women I've seen are all great and diverse and varied, and what's really, really important, and what distinguishes this for me from other fantasy with just or mostly men, is that the men I'm seeing are all diverse. First off, I have no problem telling them apart because they all have such different personalities, but also they are not toxic masculinity men. They cry together, and they hold on to each other emotionally and physically, and they are there for each other, and they aren't worried about how they will look, and they, like I said, they lean on each other. And it's not just like the two who are like been working together for years and are basically brothers, but there are other men who they have like just met, and they care for each other, and they genuinely like watch out for each other. And it's so good that I'm like, okay, this is what I want to see, because it's not just the same old men in doing their thing, fighting their swords, being like, ha, no homo. It's like men who genuinely understand themselves and are okay with who they are. Positive figures. The writing's good, the plot is good, the atmosphere is good. I'm really curious to know how magic is going to be incorporated a little bit more, because it's here, but it's not a main thing. It's kind of like a hush-hush evil, and I'm curious to know how it's going to become like taking over the land. I'm just gonna be finishing up Theft of Swords book 1, and then I don't know what I'm gonna pick up. So yeah, I guess I'll say goodbye now. It's been nice talking to you. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you're planning on reading any of these books, because they were good for the most part. I had a few I didn't like. Anyways, I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!